Hi, everyone. So my name is Sharifa Wright, and I am the Director for Alumni Diversity and Inclusion here at Williams. But 15 years ago, I was a freshman at Williams, and Mayda was a senior, and I pretty much wanted to be her. Mayda is a Williams Bicentennial medalist. She's been described by the Chicago Sun-Times as having a way with words. Sometimes they seem to flutter and roll off of her lips. Other times, they burst forth like a comet, streaking across a nighttime sky. A proud native of Chicago's South Side, Mayda got her start at New York City's legendary Nuyorican Poets Cafe, where she was a 2001 Grand Slam champion and went on to win the 2001 National Poetry Slam individual title, becoming the youngest person and first Latina poet to do so. She went on to appear in 6 episodes of Russell Simmons's Deaf Poetry Jam on HBO, and was a contributing writer and original cast member of the Tony Award-winning Deaf Poetry Jam on Broadway. She's been featured in Latina magazine, The Source, The New York Times, and was named by Smithsonian Magazine as one of America's young innovators in the arts and sciences. Oprah's own magazine, and everyone knows that whatever Oprah says is truth, selected her as one of the 20 women for their first ever O-Power list, a group of visionary women making a mark in business, politics, and the arts. In May of 2009, she was invited to perform at the White House for President Obama and the First Lady. Since 2007, Mayda has been a teaching artist with the poetry-based nonprofit youth organization Street Poets, facilitating workshops around the LA area in high schools and at probation camps. She's also a dancer and vocalist with the LA-based Afro-Puerto Rican bomba group Atabe, and is currently pursuing an MFA in creative writing at the California Institute of the Arts. As a student at Williams, Mayda was, for me and many of my peers, a comet streaking through the Williamstown nighttime sky. One of my favorite things to do when I was a freshman was to walk around at night, in part out of necessity because I was being kicked out of the library, and also because I was searching for a reason to be here, trying to figure out myself, trying to figure out what I was meant to be doing. I think this is a common narrative for many of us, for all of us, but especially for many students of color, immigrant students, international students at Williams, where you have these moments where sometimes there are far more things in the con column than there are in the pro column, and you are sort of on the verge of leaving. In an interview for the Career Center here at Williams, Mayda described that moment for herself in far more poetic terms than I could ever convey on my own behalf. She said, "I was going through a rough time and almost left Williams. My friend Will, a dancer, invited me to a show at Mass MoCA. It was a dance lecture on Black women in the blues. We went to the show, and all of a sudden, I felt the life come back to me. I realized I hadn't been doing the things that I loved, like writing. Something unlocked. The floodgates opened, and I started writing and writing and writing. I thought," she said, "this is what I'm supposed to be doing." And she ended up doing an independent study at Williams in poetry and performance. I remember that independent study performance as if it was yesterday. Everyone was there. There were people sitting in the aisles. I remember the colors, I remember the sounds, I remember the emotions. It was one of those performances that felt like an open nerve, in a good way. And I remember thinking to myself, this must be what self-actualization looks like. And my impression of Williams as a space that could help me find myself improved astronomically. If Mayda can do that here, I thought, then so can I. Williams gives you this privilege of becoming peers with your role models, of allowing you to walk amongst people who you think are giants. When I was a senior, I wanted to write a research paper on hybridized Caribbean identity. I was a political theory major, and how it's constructed in the diaspora. And I worked on it for an entire semester, and by the end of the term, I had handed in a 40-page paper on Mayda. Only at Williams do you find yourself writing about an artist that only graduated a few years before you did. Mayda describes her work as originating in the embodiment of hybrid identity and experience. It is Spanish and English, part hip hop and salsa, part Nas and Sonia Sanchez, part Shakespeare and John Leguizamo. It is inherited history as well as traditions remixed and invented. She is creating autobiographical narratives that utilize spoken word, poetry, and music intended for live performance. Rooted in the aesthetics of hip hop and the urban Latino experience, her work explores themes of healing, transformation, and the recovery of ancestral memory in the modern day diaspora. She seeks to challenge traditional Western approaches to performance by creating a communal participatory space where audiences are invited to journey into their own cultural narratives and mythologies. Knowing that Mayda is out there teaching a whole new generation of writers and thinkers about what it means to express oneself authentically fills me with something that exceeds joy and pride. As Eves, we are obliged to use our talents and our privileges to shape the world. And it is my honor to welcome a woman who allows this college to make good on that promise. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Mayda del Valle.
Thank you. Who dat? Good morning. How's everyone? Awesome. Wow, quite an introduction, my goodness. You made me cry, Sharifa. That kind of makes everything very, very worthwhile to know that. Can you hear me? Yeah. Check one. Can you hear me now? Can we raise the mic maybe a little bit? I don't know what's going on. Hello? Better? Yeah? Okay. It kind of makes a lot of things worthwhile to know that that you can have an impact like that on someone. I know there were times when I was very close to leaving this place, and so to know that in some small way I was able to encourage someone else to stay and finish is really awesome. So thank you. Okay, I'm gonna start off with a song, okay? To open up the space. We're just gonna have a conversation. This isn't super formal. This isn't gonna be about the stars and the moons and the trees, about, I might talk about that a couple times, but this is more of a conversation, so there's no fourth wall here. If you wanna come up on stage and sit right here, come up. But I'm gonna open up with a song for Elegua. Elegua, our issue, as he's known in the Yoruba tradition, is the keeper of the doorways and the crossroads. And you always salute Elegua whenever you open up a space. And so this song is from the Afro-Cuban tradition, which some people might know as Santeria, or the Lucumí tradition, or Regla de Ocho. Para su guayo, oh moña la guana mama que naira wo yeah. Para su guayo, bye. O moña la guana mama kenaira wo yeah. Why you talk like that? Or the etymology of where are you really from? Because it's a language of necessity, because it's translating from my father at the Social Security office, and my mother having a Reader's Digest subscription for over 30 years, because I grew up on 64th in California, because I went to an Ivy League and clutched onto the South Side the way a hawk grasps its dinner, hunting the hood in my dialect. Every time I came back home and the homie said, you sound white right now, like you not from here no more, because you're so regional, you sound so Chicago, you speak English so well. How did you learn? Because folks know where I'm from when I say shit like pop and drawl, the caw in my Chicago, because I got a lineage of brujas sing-songing their black cat calling conjurations caught on my incisors, because I code switch between magic and academic, because I coño carajo me cago and I feel like it, because Oakland gave me hella even though I never lived there, because I slipped and tripped into a New York City pizza parlor, burned my tongue on a hot slice, and ain't been the same since, because que, por qué, qué pasó, qué hace, nada, quién eres, because the world thinks I'm nada, thinks brown girls are nadie, nada, nobody think they gotta listen, so we extra lip smack away the silence with a head swing in Spanish and fuck, Fania salsa slip my way across this bridge I live on. Word. So I grew up on the south side of Chicago. Very interesting neighborhood, very interesting city that has the honor of still being the most segregated city in the United States. Out the back window of my daddy's Chevy, on a Saturday afternoon down 71st Street before it became Emmett Till Road, my eyes peered at the shaved heads and raised swastikas before my tongue could even wrap around those syllables, before my mind could ever wrap around their meaning, before rap was the rhythm my head bounced to. I wish I hadn't missed the Fight the Power era. Maybe my eyes wouldn't still burn with the sights and sounds of the city. Choppers, raised fists, raised voices, the way the red, black, and white flags waved, held by white hands, combat boots, skin, smooth heads, black leather, clad shoulders visible between a wall of blue shoulders, silver star-studded chests and nightsticks surrounding the Marquette Park perimeter, side by side. Heard that word my ma told me I should never use. On the lips of men I knew at that age I'd never want to run into in a dark corner. Saw it printed black and bold on poster boards, held high overhead. N-I-G-G-A, go home. This is America. So free speech is protected, and the remaining vestiges of Ku Klux Klan members were allowed to have demonstrations in the park back then. Besides the time I saw my mother kiss 2 crossed fingers and swear to the Virgin Mary that if I didn't clean my room, she'd have my ass, I'd never seen a face with so much anger. Between holstered hips, I peered, peeped, raised fists, and white power signs before Chappelle made a mockery of them. Real joke to me is how I'm supposed to be scared of something darker, somehow more menacing than what I saw out the back window of the Chevy that warm spring Chicago afternoon. Now a woman's eyes glance out the front window of my father's borrowed car as I drive around the city. Now there are still red, black, and white signs, bruised colors, now announcing lofts for sale and rent, multi-million-dollar condos standing on once abandoned lots owned by banks patiently waiting to cash in on inflation and foreclosures, once home to jungle weeds thigh high and rubbish piles high as king of the hills in my neighborhood, in the place where double Dutch songs skipped to the 7-Eleven for Laffy Taffies you chewed, not shaked, and the only thing we worried about buying were the 30-cent lime green paletas from the Mexican guy pushing his ice-cold cart. Maybe Chicago has always been this way, holding aloft banners that declare someone doesn't belong, whether black or brown or just plain poor. I'm waving a flag for my own homecoming, but it's just not the same anymore. Maybe my childhood summertime memories are just retouched, picture-perfect fantasies I suck on like paletas to ease the thirst for home. Nostalgia leaves on my tongue. So if you couldn't gather from that, I grew up in Marquette Park, which is on the south side of Chicago, and If you know anything about the civil rights movement and Dr. King marching in Chicago, Gage Park and Marquette Park were one of the kind of target areas that the movement really moved into to try and bring some kind of resolution to housing discrimination. So Black people were systematically, deliberately kept out of these neighborhoods by banks and people, money lenders. And it was really violent. So if you ever hear about the incident where Dr. King got hit in the head with a brick and they flipped over some cars and torched them and threw them into this lagoon, that was 2 blocks from my house. Welcome to the South Side. So I'm going to read this piece. Oh, man. I'm not, yo no tengo pelo en la lengua, which my mother used to say. That means I don't have hair on my tongue, so I speak about anything. So if you're uncomfortable with women's reproductive systems, you might want to leave the room now. So this is about growing up Latina and Catholic with a really old school mom. I always wished me and my mom could have one of those mother-daughter relationships, the sweet, special, close, communicative type, where I could talk to her about anything and ask her things like, Mom, do you ever feel, not so fresh? But trying to talk to my mother about anything having to do with my hoo-ha was as dramatic as a Spanish novela. Because if Latin moms were dramatic about anything, it was the preservation and protection of their daughter's virginity. Forget about it. She would say things like, Mamucha, tú sabes que yo te quiero mucho, and you can talk to me about anything you want to. Yeah, right. I made that mistake once. I was 13 and a skinny-ass freshman at an all-girls Catholic school because my parents weren't going to send their daughters to no co-ed public institution where some dirty, horny-ass sinvergüenza could get his hands on us. Plus, she was always like, you know how those public school kids turn out. At Maria High School, our vaginas were protected by the watchful eyes of repressed nuns and the Virgin Mary herself. If she only knew. I decided to talk to my mom about Tanya, my best friend, Adriana's best friend from around the way, who she told me was sleeping with 2 guys, and she was only a freshman, and already she was doing it, and I didn't know what to think about it, so I did what my mom said I could do, which was go talk to her about it, but she was full of shit, because the only thing that she said when I told her was, ¿Qué? La amiguita de Adriana, la que va a la escuela pública. Huh. Yo sabía que esa nena tenía algo bueno. Aquí yo no la quiero y se acabaron las salitas con esa nena. I don't want you talking to her or hanging out with her anymore. But ma, se acabó. Well, damn. If all she was going to do was judge my friends and call them sluts when I tried to talk to her, then I wasn't going to tell her shit. And it didn't make it any easier that all my friends could come over and talk to her about anything they wanted to. Mrs. Del Valle, I can't talk to my mom about boys or nothing. Mrs. Del Valle, I don't know what to do about my boyfriend. Mrs. Del Valle, my dad is so mean to me. And she would sit them down and put her arm around them like the fucking Mastingill commercial I was supposed to be having. She's my mom, and I can't even talk to her. Your mom is so nice. Oh, my God, she's so easy to talk to. Shut the fuck up. Your ass ain't got to live with her. Sorry, I curse a lot, so, yeah. Potty mouth. In a live performance, I would introduce the next section of this piece with the classic Bloodhound Gang theme song. Does anyone remember the Bloodhound Gang? 3, 2, 1, contact. Okay, so it goes like this. Whenever there's trouble, we're there on the double. We're the Bloodhound Gang. If you got the crime, we got the time. We're the Bloodhound Gang. And then, they would always intro the episode and it would say the case of, so this would say the case of the missing period. My mom gave my brother his first pack of condoms and told him, no vaya a echar la pata and don't even think about bringing that polaca home con una barriga. But she was a one-woman detective agency when it came to me and my sister's periods. If we were a day late, she was on the case. She noticed how much Advil we took and counted the rolled up balls of toilet paper in the trash. 1, 2, Mayda, ¿qué está usando? Los tampones. Ten cuidado con esas cosas. She wasn't crazy about the idea of anything being inserted into art. And I don't think she was fully convinced that you remained a virgin if you used a tampon. Well, on this day, It was the case, true story, it was the case of the missing period, and Detective Carmen was on the case. It was on a morning during my junior year. I was 16, my period was late, and I wasn't sure why. Well, maybe it was the stress of starting school, having a job, getting sick, and 2 weeks of antibiotics and medications that had been prescribed. Or maybe it was what me and my boyfriend Joe had been doing in the car. I was not having sex yet because I was not a slut, but we had been doing other stuff, okay? And I can't give you the details because that's nasty, but everybody at school had heard about how this girl's cousin had messed around with some guys, and she got pregnant because they had gone through her panties, and sperms are really stubborn, and they can jump through like 2 layers of underwear. I'm not lying, you didn't know? Plus, there's no way I was gonna tell my mother that I was dry humping and have her think that I was dirty. Shoot. But she knew I was late, and I knew she had something to ask me that morning because she had been quiet in that Latin mom kind of way. Breathing deeply, sighing loudly, but not saying a word. A ti. ¿No te llega la regla este mes? She was cleaning the stove for the 4th time that morning. I could feel her eyes in the back of my head wiping and wiping like she was wiping the stain of shame off of me. No, I haven't gotten it yet this month. And I knew what was coming next because her face had the look of someone who's been really offended by the sight of a dog taking a shit, something like horror and curiosity all rolled together into one. I was stoically silent as I ate my breakfast, carefully chewing every mouthful of rice checks. Mayda, tú no habrás metido las patas y tenga un problemita. She asked me in Spanish. Pissed off Puerto Rican mom Spanish. Slowly enunciating every letter and vowel, translated, what that basically meant was, did you open up your legs to some good-for-nothing son of a bitch and get your stupid ass knocked up because Santo de Dios y Santísima Virgen? What am I gonna tell everybody? Because the real issue was not me ruining my life, it was ruining my mother's life. I'd destroy her and the family name. It would mean the end of life in the church circle as we knew it. All the old ladies we went to pray rosaries with every October would shake their heads in disgust at me and talk about how I'll never wear white to my wedding. Novenas would be held in my name to draw my soul back from the fiery depths of hell. I kept hearing a chorus of old women praying the litany in our living room, all while wondering if maybe I was pregnant by means of immaculate conception and waiting to reply to my mother's question, but I wasn't gonna let her win this one. So I sat, and in true novela fashion, I chewed my cereal until I came up with the most dramatic response I could. No, Mom. I think people have to have sex in order for that to happen. It was a perfect exit. I grabbed my things and left to school pissed, but mostly hurt about the way she tried to talk to me. Scared about the real reason I was late and mad that I couldn't talk to her about it. But I didn't say a word to her for an entire week. Not one word. I heard her crying and talking to my cousin at the house one day. I was just worried. I was just trying to talk to her. Yeah, right. Worried. Whatever, yo. All right. So that's part of a longer piece that I've been working on for a long time. And then after that. Yeah, of course. Of course. Because I wasn't a slut, I wasn't having sex. Hello. No. Yeah, I got it. It was, it's fine. And, I wasn't, I wasn't having, I'm just gonna be whatever. I wasn't having sex for like another year after that, But it was, that was the irony of the whole situation, is that because I couldn't talk to my mother about how things really function down there, like the rumor around school was that it can go through your clothes and you can get pregnant like that. Because my cousin got pregnant like that, right? Because you should go to other 15, 16-year-olds to find out about reproduction. Right. And then, like I could really go to the nuns at my school and ask them, hey, Sister Mary, do you think I might be pregnant? Oh my God, Hot mess. So Yeah, so that's part of a longer piece that I've been working on for a while. And after that, I'm writing about my mother's migration story to the United States when she was 17 and her relationship with her mother, which explains a lot about that whole thing, right? So one of the avenues that, or the spaces that I had to kind of form my own identity outside of the restrictions that I had in my house was through hip hop. And you can hear some of that language and some of that aesthetic in a lot of my work. But so this is about the era of hip hop that I grew up in, which is the 90s. And it's really interesting the way that hip hop kind of was manifested in Chicago, because for people who don't know, hip hop has it's a culture. It's not just music, right? It's a whole kind of lifestyle. There's different, people consider that there's different elements to it: graffiti and DJing and rapping and dancing and fashion. There's, hip hop journalism. There's a hip hop archive at Harvard now. There's a hip hop archive at Cornell University now. This is an American art form that was born, and it was born in this country. It was, it bubbled up out of the Bronx in the 70s, out of the situation and the lack of resources that young people of color were having, at that time, and continue to have in this country. It's not just something that happened in the 70s. It continues to happen. We have communities that are completely neglected and under-resourced. But this amazing art form and this amazing culture came out of that. And it is the biggest youth culture in the world now. You can find hip-hop anywhere you go in the world. I saw rappers rapping in Dutch in Holland. I was in Holland last week. There's rappers, there's breakdancers in Brazil, in Peru. There's a breakdancing organization in Uganda. It's everywhere. It's all over the world. And it was here. It's from here. It's an American art form. And so I think we need to nurture more of the things that come out of places that are on the margins. They might not necessarily be considered part of the canon, but it's American culture nonetheless. So this is Chicago circa 1993. It starts off with a verse from a song. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, but some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. We'd roll together. Me and my people always together, tight-knit like wool sweaters, with dreams of making it big in our city or making our city big. Squeezed into the back of an 86 light blue hoopty Honda Civic, whose bumper we'd have to occasionally climb out of the car for and retrieve a block or two behind us still. The kicker box stuffed into the back trunk, bumping Illmatic and Ready to Die, made us feel like we was the shit. We'd roll northward on our way to see Common in concert before he lost the sense. Kings and queens of Chicago's South Side planet, because anyone who's ever been there knows it's a whole other world. People driving past us on Lakeshore Drive were witness to the comedic antics of teens who discovered that the effects of THC made weekends with difficult parents easier to stomach. Their scowling brows looked at the pants sliding off our asses, oversized t-shirts clinging to our shoulders, staring at us like aliens from outer space, the way parents usually look at their teenage children, reminding us, you're lucky you get to go out at all. When I was your age, we'd wave off their admonishments with a spray can in one hand and a bottle of cheap liquor in the other, made out with our boyfriends in the back seat while our friends drove us to the mall, later hiding hickeys with turtlenecks or trying to twist them off with a cold lipstick top. We swore, it's an old school trick, it works. We swore we'd rep the Shy for life, carry the rhythm of fat caps, funk, skateboards, and turntables in our hearts forever. Backpacks and fat laces were our uniforms. I'd pull my Scully with the brim low, pull my men's size 32 jeans up and bob my head to this, the era of hip-hop that I remember. I reminisce on the cipher of familiar faces that surrounded me during those times. Hitting up the corner store, we'd trade our Saturday nights for bags of Swedish fish and Cool Ranch Doritos, buying cheap bottles of Boone's and margarita mix with fake IDs. We'd gather every weekend to let the smoke wander across our faces like clouds across our city skyline during summer thunderstorms. We'd gather in that cipher, 6 or 7 deep with a deep dish cheese pizza from Palermo's, a 12-pack of icy RC colas, and watch Style Wars or Beach Street, naively dreaming of days we traveled to New York and bombed the train yards like it was still back in the day we were so new school, worshiping anything that anchored our love of hip-hop and authenticity, in love with the culture that gave us the space to rebel against our parents' blue-collar dreams, in love with the music that gave us the reason to move to the sound of our own drums. After a few rounds of passing the J, and once the Style Wars tape had started to rewind itself in the VCR, we'd roll, head downtown into the Loop, with nothing but the clothes we'd racked from Marshall's, the paint we'd racked from Home Value, True Value, and the names we'd picked to replace the ones our parents gave us, names like Mila, Peas, Side 2, Actor, Biggs, Noble, Vegas, Sam 1, Sleek. We'd sneak into subway tunnels, slink like rats that claim the underground domains as their own and emerge with paint-dripped shell toes, cold noses, and fingers turned aqua, black, and pink, then run on the elevated track suspended above the below-zero streets of Chicago, wishing we were suspended in time like grains of sand in a spinning hourglass turned over and over so these moments could last forever. Blessed with the cockiness and certainty that comes with being 16, we believed we ran the city. I guess the reason we as young people act like we know everything is because it's the only time in our lives we will feel like we do. Before the broken hearts caused by future relationships hung over our heads, before the reality of bills and student loans set in, before the reality of Infamil and Pampers some of our friends could barely afford hit, before the now and later sweetness of our youth was washed away by the rotten lemon bitterness and cynicism of adulthood, we existed. Within that cipher of familiar faces with hip-hop as our soundtrack, and fear never factored into our futures. And yeah, maybe I'm looking back on this story with the retrospect vision of rose-tinted glasses that color everything pretty in pink, but damn, if we can't sit and talk about the way things used to be, how can we ever talk about the way we'd want them to be instead? Sometimes we need to piece together our past like a broken watch, using its soul-clapping hands to give our futures a new rhythm, to keep time, to give our lives some of the fearlessness we possessed in our youth, because back in the days, when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, but some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Okay, I wrote a couple of odes recently. The first ode I wrote is an ode to door knocker earrings. Anybody know what door knocker earrings are? Door knocker earrings are a staple of hood fashion. And they're big gold earrings that look like bamboo. It's a big hoop, and usually the bigger the hoop, the better. But you can put your name across in like cursive writing in the middle of your hoop earring. Carrie Bradshaw popularized it on Sex and the City. That shit was not from Sex and the City. That comes from the ghetto, just so you know. Name, little name. I have one right now, my name, just in case I forget. It says Mayda right here. I also have the earrings in the room. But this is an ode to door knocker earrings. All golden and round the way, girl, all bent metal, circular crown of flash, meat queen dangling from oral bass boom receivers. All hood, honey drop hoops, oh precious metal display of ego. Oh golden calf circumference of chingona chola confidence. Oh amulet incantation of my name, set in malleable metallurgical mix of alloy alchemy. I don't think they did my name in 14 karat, but fuck it, I steady rock the tarnish anyway. Anywhere. When I meet my creator, dress me in fat laces, a bandera de lares in my downtown LA swap meet gold weight in ounces. Yeah, I rock the name my mama gave me on my ear. Yeah, I wore a white tux and gold bamboos to shake the president's hand. And what? Gilded ghetto regalia, regal steez, B-girl couture, Louis Vuitton, please. Ladies first, these my royal jewels on layaway. All gold, all precious mineral on precious skin, body adornment, no delicate, dainty. The bigger the hoop, the bigger the hoop, the bigger the call me out my name. Those that can't say my name, read the earring. Oh, what a way to slump, to stump the unimaginative gringo tongues that twist my name into unpronounceable. Say my name, say my name. It's on my earring, B, just read it. One more ode, and then I'll change the pace up a little bit. Oh, cool. Got a couple minutes. So Neruda was a poet that I really fell in love with Neruda's love poems and his sonnets. But Neruda wrote a ton of odes to beautiful, just these beautiful odes to these really mundane, like you wouldn't even think about it, objects like watermelons and chairs and artichokes. And I had to write an ode to this object because it's a staple of Latino culture. And it's an object that you can find in any Latino household. It is our disciplinary tool of choice. This is an ode to the chancla, or the flip-flop. The chancla is the flip-flop, and that's what you get. Okay, ode to the chancla. What symmetry of molded plastic straps spreading like a slingshot across the arc of metatarsal? What thong, the thong that creeps into the vortex of hallux and phalanges and rubs my toe pit raw? What $2 Kmart Payless wonder turned Louboutin-like staple of I don't give a fuck fashion? Oh, how island fashionistas bow to your hourglass-shaped chancla. Oh, you summertime messiah that saves the soles of our feet from blistering sand. Oh, you fly swatter. Oh, you cucaracha killer. Oh, you cobweb remover. Oh, you foot fungus, shower shoe shield, door stopper, ping pong, paddle replacement. Praise the form of foam, the welcome cushion you offer daily like warm bread to the calloused and bunion toes of tias and abuelas who fling and flick you, fuacata and fuete the faces and nalgas of unruly mocosos and malcriados. Better you than the belt, better you than the hand, the fist, or the switch. Oh, pliant apparatus of corporal punishment. You rubber manifestation of intergenerational trauma, intermediary of family drama, the severed styrofoam seal that makes you run out arm's reach of your mama's impending. Get your ass over here before you really get it, Armageddon. Ay, bendito. What music, what rhythm, what chancleta, flip-flop, flip-flop, flip-flop cadence when you onomatopoeia your own name with every polymerized latex lip smack on pavement. Give it up for the chancla. Okay, 11:55. Trying to think when I'm gonna close out with. We got a little time. I know. There's like 3. Okay. Story or poem? I'm gonna have you guys sing with me. I know it's supposed to rain here, but let's like picture Southern California, which is like, don't drop a matchstick in LA right now because everything will go up in flames for how dry it is. So let's send some of the rain back in the other direction. So think of California and like imagine a map of California in your head right now and all the rain that's hanging out over Williamstown. We're gonna send it back to the West Coast. But you guys are gonna sing with me. I need your help on this. I need to wet my whistle first. I need a little water. Excuse me. So, water is a really amazing thing. Without it, we all die. And there's so many places in the world that don't have water right now. But from a metaphysical perspective, water is also an element of reconciliation and cleansing and peacemaking. And so it's kind of interesting that there's all this water shortage all around the world right now. And we see what's happening in so many places around the world. So we're going to call in water this morning. Can we do that together? Yeah, sure. Okay. So I'm going to use a couple different words. You're going to hear a couple different words you might not be familiar with in this. Omi is a Yoruba word for water. Agua is water in Spanish, yeah? Iya means mother in Yoruba, and madre means mother in Spanish. Cool? Quick little translation there, just in case. Okay. So the song that we're going to sing goes like this. O mio aguae. Okay. O mio aguae. Very nice. One more time. O mio aguae. Ia mio kulai lai o kulai toujours. Ia mio kulai lai o kulai toujours. Ia mio kulai lai o kulai toujours. Spill omi to call agua. Spill omi to call iya agua. Rock the body. Let the shoulders undulate. Rain like movement made in morning. The feet pound drumbeat. White flowers, watermelon, molasses, seashells hold her sound. Starfish gaze deep her night and morning. Whisper of wet in ear. Fog, foam, drops, grows into her roar. Tides aside, thoughts moves ache out the heart. Washes hurt out the chest. Washes past off the hands, moves calm into belly, cleans, clear, crystalline, like omi, agua, water. O mio agua. O mio agua. Ia mio kulai lai o kulai toujours. Head fills with wet. Head fills with omi. Head rocks, shoulders, chest, legs move like omi. Let hands call. Let feet spell. Let mouths call. Omi, oh, agua. Mommy, spread your skirt. Omi, agua, water over the parch of this concrete angel. Fill the cienagas and canyons green again. Omi, oh, agua. O mio agua. Iya, carry us back home. Omi, agua, water, back to ourselves, across stormy seas, held precious pearls in the shelter of your palm. Water to call, we call. Water to call, we call. Water to call, we call. O mio agua. Water to call, we call. Water to call, we call. The mother of fish. Water we call Iya. Water we call Iya, the madre who washes the path. Iya who feeds humankind. Madre who connects the continents. Madre who protected our crossing. Iya who yields the rain sword. Madre who wears the silver crown. Iya who beholds her beauty in the mirror. Iya who lives in the deep omi. Mother who fills all the dry spaces. Mother who moistens what we've hidden. Iya who heals. Madre who makes new. Madre who heals, who holds, who protects. Dile que quiero agua, agua pa' beber. Dile que quiero agua, agua para vencer. Agua dulce, agua pura y bendita, agua pa' beber. El cielo se está nublando y agua va a caer. Iya, mother, madre, water to call, water we call. Iya, mother, madre, we call water to call, we call water. Water to call water, we call Iya, mother, madre, we call water. Iya, mother, madre. Iya mi okulai lai okulai toujours. Okay, I'm going to do one more. So the response that you heard me say, "Iya mi okulai lai okulai toujours," is it's a call for the mothers in the Yoruba tradition from Brazil. And so when we say when we celebrate the deities of water, like Oshun, who is the goddess of the sweet waters, or when we celebrate Yemaja, who's the goddess of the ocean, or Olokun. Olokun is also a water deity, or Nana in Brazil. Nana is an old woman who lives in the swamp. So, but water is omi in Yoruba. So when we call water, we say, o mio yemaya, o mio shun, o mio ye. And then iyami okulalai is the mothers. There's a crew of old women. They call them the witches, but you're not supposed to call them the witches. They're called the mothers. And it's iyami energy is that energy that every woman carries when, like when a woman, it's kind of like from The Color Purple when she goes like that and she's like, until you do right by me, nothing you do will ever go right. That's like a perfect example of iyami energy, right? You don't want to cross a woman in a certain way because everything will go wrong in your life if you cross a woman in the wrong way, right? So those are the iyami. So this last piece, because we just called in the mothers, this last piece is for our grandmothers. This is for my grandmother and my mother's mother, who passed away when I was very, very young. I don't really have any memory of her, but I feel like she's always very close to me, if that makes any sense. I'm sure some people can relate to that feeling. But her name was Segunda Martinez, and this is for her. This is for all of the women in our family whose names we don't know, whose faces we've never seen, who make it possible for us to be living and breathing and sitting in these chairs right now, and who are filling up all these empty chairs. Abuela, our common thread began in my mama's womb. Spun my fetus like a record in her cipher, sampled your stubborn and mixed in her father's posture. Our connection is full circle. Abuela, you bear of children. You seer of spirits. You are truly miraculous. You are the whispers of litanies and white lace tablecloths. Your melody is captured in the spilled candle wax of my skin. My tongue's a broken needle, scratching through the grooves of a lost wisdom, trying to find a faith that beats like yours. What secrets do your bones hold? What pattern does your dust settle into when I beat these drums inside my ribs? What color was the soil of your grandmother's garden? Abuela, how did you pray? Did you store the memory of your creator in strands of hair tucked into scented soapboxes or placentas buried under avocado trees? What reservoir did you pull your faith from? Was it anything like this gumbo, this sancocho, this remix of rituals and chants sampled from muscle memory and spirits that visit my dreams that I struggle to stir into discipline to honor the unseen with these shells, this sage, these rudrashka and rosary beads, these white candles, crystals, statues, sweet water, honey, rum, in sweetgrass? Abuela, how did you pray before someone told you who your God should be? How did you hold the earth in your hands and thank her for its fecundity? Did the sea wash away your sadness? How did you humble yourself before your architect? Did you lower yourself to your knees or rock to the rhythm of ocean waves like I do? Abuela, how did you pray? Some say faith is for the weak or small-minded, but I search for your faith everywhere, need it to reassemble myself whole from these shards of Chicago ice and island breezes so I can rewrite the songs of your silence and pain, your lonely fists, broken tooth smile and burdens into a medley of mantras. Wish you could have shown me its shape, but I know it is here in every sacred breath, in the shadows of trees you visit me in the flicker of flames I stare into, searching for what's divine. And I know my body is the instrument my maker uses to rearrange the broken chords of your history into a new symphony for my unborn children's feet to dance to. And I see you, grandmother, gathering with your sistren to chant the names of the living and the dead and remind us all that whether gathered in a marble temple around a midnight fire or block party speakers, we have always raised our hands to the sky, trying to touch the invisible force that holds these cells together into a fragile mass. Children of different nations, but the same vibration. We be sound to beat, to bass, to bone, to flesh. We be sound to beat, to bass, to bone, to flesh. We are all truly miraculous.
Thank you very much.
Very kind. Thank you very much. So we have some time for Q&A. That was on the schedule and on the docket, so I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. Yes, sir. First. The hell if I know. So I used to work with a nonprofit organization in the Marquette Park area, down the street from my house. I had mentors there. They used to do a lot of after-school programming for young people. And I got involved with that organization, I think maybe my sophomore year in high school. And I was working at a summer camp, and that was 1990, let me see, 6, 5, 4, like 92, 93. And that summer, there were 2 young organizers who had just graduated from Earlham College in Ohio, I can't remember where Earlham is. Indiana, there you go. And they had been really active organizers in the 80s on their college campus around apartheid and all that, when a lot of college students were protesting on college campuses to divest from apartheid and all that stuff. So they moved to the south side of Chicago to be organizers at this organization, and one of those young men was Jonathan Peck, and his father was the director of athletics here at Williams for a really long time. And so when it came time for me to start looking at schools, he said, "Have you looked at Williams?" And I said, "Williams and Mary?" And he said, "No, Williams College. It's ranked #1 in the country, best liberal arts college." And I was like, all right. And so they actually brought Norma Lopez, class of 95, I believe, or 95. They brought her to the office and, to kind of do a presentation and do some recruiting. And so she flew me out to the school for a freshman weekend. And Vicky was my host. And that's how I found out about Williams. And it wasn't my first choice. I really wanted to go to Sarah Lawrence. I'll be very frank about that. That's where Alice Walker went, and Joseph Campbell used to teach there. And this wasn't my first, and it was closer to New York. I really wanted to be closer to New York. But they gave me a financial aid package that I couldn't say no to. And that's why I came to Williams, because they gave me the most money. Let's keep it real. But I'm grateful that I came. In hindsight, it was life it leads you down paths and alleyways and roads that you don't really understand at the time. But if it wasn't for the space that I had to explore, and some of the mentors that I had while I was here in the dance department and in the art department, the independent project that Sharifa talked about that I did my senior year, some of those poems I ended up doing on Broadway. So everything happens for a reason. Yes, sir.
Who are some of your most memorable teachers, professors?
Professor Epping. Yeah. Yay! Sandy Burton in the dance department. Kweyao Agyapong, rest in peace. He was also part of the Ibai. He was part of the dance department. He was a musical director and drummer. I'm trying to think who else. Marcela was not my teacher, but Marcela was such a source of support for so many students of color on this campus for such a long time, and is not going to be the same without you here. I'm trying to think who else, Liza Johnson, my video teacher, my senior year. She was also my advisor. There was some great folks here. I was lucky to have good people in my corner. Yes?
Are you back on the south side?
I am in Los Angeles. I've been in Los Angeles for the last 10 years. My parents are still on the south side. I was just there for 2 weeks. I have a 14 and 18-year-old niece who graduated from 8th grade and high school, respectively. So I've been spending a lot of time back home, and I feel like Chicago's calling me back for several reasons. But I've been in LA. I live in Koreatown, and I've been there for 10 years. I do a lot of work in LA, and I love it. Can't beat the weather, that's for sure. Yes?
What's the relationship now with you and your mother?
Oh, it's great. It's awesome.
Did she hear that poem?
The one about the whole, no, not yet. It might ruin everything. There's another one. Another one that I've written about her that I didn't get to do today, but that's kind of more about, my mom's really into cooking, and she always wanted to have a restaurant. So I wrote this whole poem about growing up in my mom's kitchen. So she heard that one. This one might have her a little bit of a heart attack. I don't know. No, but we talk about all these things very openly and frankly now. My mom's 71 now. So, and I'm a grown-ass woman, so. So it's a little different when you're a grown-ass woman and you go back home, you talk to your mom. Although sometimes you still feel like you're 16 and you're like, Mom! Yeah, parents will do that to you. Yes.
Could you talk a bit about who is the arts for and about the issue of accessibility to the arts?
Woo! Who is the arts for and accessibility to the arts? Man, who is the arts for? Who do you think the arts is for? I think the arts ideally should be for everybody. Ideally, should be for everybody, for whoever wants to be an artist. But we know that accessibility is a huge issue, right? Because there's particular people who get to decide what our aesthetic is and what is considered art and what's not considered art. We have seen, I mean, there's no arts in the public schools and in the school system in this country anymore. You know, it's just been done away with. And the saddest thing about that is that we know there's been studies that prove that young people who are exposed to the arts think more critically, are more open to the world, and it helps improve math and English skills. You know, so they're essential. It's an essential part of just who we are as human beings. So I get to work with a lot of young people. I work with a group of young incarcerated women on Wednesday nights. I do a poetry and African drumming workshop with them, and that's always really amazing. They're fantastic. And I work at a couple of high schools in South LA, around the LA area, South and Central LA. And yeah, I do workshops in the classroom, some after school stuff, mostly in class, which is a lot more challenging because, you know, when you go to just visit a classroom, you have to deal with all of the kids, not just the ones who self-select to take a poetry workshop, which I would prefer. I want to learn poetry, so you show up. No, this is like, who's this lady, and why are you here every Tuesday from like 2 to 3, and I hate poetry, and, you know, and now you're making me write about something I don't want to write about. But, yeah. So, I mean, and you know, it's interesting having that conversation here because of the whole Williams Mafia. You know, we turn out most of the museum directors in this country from the art history department here. So, yeah, I don't know, does that answer your question? Just a couple thoughts about it. We need more art in our schools, for sure. Yes, ma'am.
Don't you think that cultural conflict sometimes leads to juvenile delinquency?
Yeah, I mean, no, that's true. It's what's missing. Man, we're afraid of our young people in this country right now. And we've lost the village. It takes a village, right? Before, when you were growing up, you knew what time to be in the house. You know, people could reprimand you if they were not your parent. You know, you're so-and-so's child, aren't you? Get your ass back home. It's time to be in the house right now. And you know, I saw your daughter doing this and this and this and that, you know? So there was a community of people that you were accountable to as a young person, and we've really lost that for a myriad of reasons. You know, poverty being one of those. When you have to struggle to survive, you don't really have time to think about much else beyond putting food on your table. You know, lack of resources, lack of arts in the schools. There's a lot of things that lead to that path for young people. And I think we really need to, at this point right now, we also you know, there's this whole school to prison pipeline. I don't know if anyone's heard about that, right? But there's a whole, it's just changed. Everything post 9/11 is so much different, right? Our police departments are completely militarized right now. The LAUSD bought a grenade launcher and a tank. The Los Angeles Unified School District Police Department spent money on a grenade launcher and a tank instead of more qualified teachers in the classrooms, right? So what is our priority in this country? What is our priority in this country? The state of California spends, their prison budget is 7 times the budget of the school budget. So it shows you, you know, and prisons are becoming, increasingly are privatized. So it's a money-making business. People are making money off of building prisons. You don't make money off of schools. You just build really intelligent, critical thinking citizens who are going to question where the money's going. So it's in the interest of some people to build more prisons and you know, establish a cheap labor, a continuous source of cheap labor than it is to have critical thinking citizens in this country. So there's a whole lot of things going on. But yes, the loss of the village is definitely one of those, for sure. And old folks in Puerto Rico will let you know who you are. I think that's it for now. Yeah.
Thank you so much.